Okay, guys, so we're going to give this a shot. Here I come. I know that in here it sounds like I'm in a submarine or underwater. It's just the nature of the dojo. Got a little bit of room. I hope you can see. I put this in front of the mirror so you can see kind of both directions. It doesn't look like that's going to work, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so for yellow belt, what I decided is I've talked to a couple of people. Nobody's really giving me feedback on what they're working on, so I picked a couple of techniques for you. Well, I picked one for yellow for you this week that I see done incorrectly. Now, when I say incorrectly, if your teacher has taught it to you one way, that's the way you do it. For my students, and listen, I know everybody goes online and watches other people's stuff, and that's okay, it really is, but there are times when I will have a student come back and tell me, yeah, I saw this video, this technique online, I got that one already. It's like, no, you don't. If you saw me do it, you got a basic idea of what it's like for you, but I need to teach it to you. Why? Because you're different than everybody else. And it's just that way with everything. So when I do these techniques and I say, okay, look, this is the number one problem I see other people doing with this technique. It comes from my research, and this is the way I want my students to do it. We're going to do crushing hammer, destructive twins, and gathering the clouds, and parting wings, or flashing daggers, for yellow, orange, and purple. Again, crushing hammer or bear hug pinned and back, depending on what you call it, right? Destructive twins or two-headed serpent, gathering the clouds, parting wings, or flashing daggers. Now, crushing hammer is the yellow belt. And listen, if you're white belt working on yellow and you want to play with all these techniques, go right ahead. Okay, but really work on the one that is for your next rank. Same thing if you're yellow working on orange and you're orange working on purple, have at it. And feel free to share these with whoever you want. So crushing hammer, and I'll back up after I explain this to you. Crushing hammer is done against a bear hug from behind, arms pinned. Now, with nobody behind you, you're going to have to use your imagination, okay? Bear hug from behind, arms pinned. When people grab you in a bear hug from behind, there's a couple of reasons they're doing it. They're holding you for somebody else. They want to try and pick you up and move you, carry you, or throw you to the ground, or they're restraining you for whatever silly reason. I would not imagine somebody smaller than you is going to try to do this and make it work. There are people out there that believe that the wrestlers and stuff that little people can grab a big person and slam them on the ground. That is a 50-50, depending on the person you're trying to slam. If they believe they're going down, they're going down. If they practice rolling around on the floor, they're going to go down out of compliance and have it, and then try and tap you. I digress. So when somebody grabs you in a bear hug and your arms are pinned, do not comply. The first thing I teach is make yourself as big as you can. Don't get all small and oh, they grab me. No. If they've got it past the point of trying to lock you up, spread your legs, make yourself big so that their hands don't come across. Now, if they're way bigger than you, they're going to grab you. If you get Mr. Bullwinkle versus, like a 10 or 12-year-old girl or a 10 or 12-year-old boy even, and he grabs them and picks them up, he's going to be able to grab and pick them up. There are different variations for different situations. The one I just mentioned, huge guy or woman, smaller person, and they pick you up and they start to throw you. If they're going to throw you backwards, you better learn how to tuck your chin, make sure that you can start chinning on their hands, and make the most advantageous position of throw for yourself so that they end up on the ground first. We'll go through that privately. Second, if they're swinging you to the side and you spread your legs apart in the air while they're throwing you, you have a better chance of landing on your feet than you do on your face. If they grab you and you grab a hold of them, you've got them too. They're not going to fling you away while you're holding onto them too. Does that make sense? Okay. The technique teaches us to step out. It's my right hand, hammer fist to the groin, and grab. Now, you can grab a hold of the femoral artery, you can grab a hold of the muscles there, depending on what's taking place, right? You grab and you squeeze. The process behind this was taught, they're going to let go. That's not always the truth. If you grab and squeeze somebody, the natural tendency is for them to tighten up. Try it. I dare you. Now, if you squeeze something and hold on to it long enough, they're bound to try and get your hand off it, but not a guarantee. Okay, so we're taught. Check the hands, step out, hit the groin, grab, and this is where I want you to pay attention. I have seen it done where you step back to a bow stance and then elbow and take them down. No, no, no. And I'll show you why. If, let's use this board as 6 o'clock. And I step out and I hit and I grab and I step towards 6 o'clock. My opponent is still at 6 o'clock. My leg is locked straight. Watch. I step, I hit, I grab, I step. If I drop somebody on my leg, they're going to break it. Even if I turn to a horse stance, they're still over here, maybe here. Taking them over my leg, this is the direction they're going to come down. I've had students injure their ankle. I myself have dropped a 300-pound guy on my ankle and twisted it like 12 years ago, doing it correctly. So what I want, when you step out, there's a couple of little details in here we'll go over in a second. Old Yeller just disappeared when I was working on stances. I'll bring Old Yeller back in a minute. Pin the hand. First, you step out. Hit the groin. As you grab, I want a C-step all the way right back around their leg. I want you to buckle their leg with your stance as soon as you put your foot down. Buckle their stance. At the same time, you go straight up underneath the chin with your elbow. Then you go straight back in the throat and then down so that they fall over your leg, not on it. This hand will come over to hammer fist. 80% of the time, this misses your opponent. But if their legs are coming up, it blocks them from kicking you in the face. So crushing hammer, some of the details facing you, I want out, elbow, hammer fist, grab, C-step, buckle, elbow up, elbow back, elbow down, hammer to check, and then your cross out is going to go in the direction of momentum. As they fall this way, I want you to move in that direction. Do not move cross out until they're down. Here's why. I step out, they grab. If, while they grab, I can check their hand and punch forward and disallow the grab, this goes to the sternum, this goes to the groin. When you grab and C-step around, elbow up, back, and down as this hammer fist comes over. If I start to cross out first, they will throw you because they're holding on as they fall. Make sense? Out, elbow, hammer fist, C-step, elbow up, over, down, then cross out. Crushing hammer, out, hit, down they go. Okay, crushing hammer, let's see what we got. Mr. Motley, how's it going, Mr. Motley? Mr. Murray, good morning. And Ms. Bozick, all right, here we go. Let me know if you guys want something specific for your video coming up. Destructive twins. Oh, by the way, if you saw my morning video, thank you for your concern. I was cloggy. I had somebody go, hey, are you sick? No. I sang 2 hours yesterday. When I sing, my throat does some weird stuff in the morning. It heals itself. It's amazing, but it gets cloggy. So thanks for the concern, but I'm good. Destructive twins. Okay. Destructive twins are two-headed serpent against a two-handed grab, pull from the front. They're not pushing. They're not grabbing and bracing. They could, but they're pulling you. When they get pulled in, the difference here is, I've had people, when you do the technique, This inward, outward block, eye shot combination has a tendency to trip people up. What I mean by that is they make the first strike, the hands are still there, and they go to move the hands off because of gravity, right? So you're moving their hands off. When you do that, if you do it correctly, what happens is this will knock their hands into your face. Imagine that. Two hands, I hit, I go around them, I push one into the other, and then I go like this, and I lift them off right into my face as I poke to the eye. Happens a lot. Sometimes people have a hard time getting their opponent's arms off of their uniform, off of their shirt. People don't let go. Well, this is where I want to point out something to you orange belts. If you're yellow working on orange, you can do a destructive twins or two-headed serpent, and you step in and you hit. This strike is all the magic. Violence of action. When you hit for 3 reasons. Remember what they are. Trademark 26 moves, right? 3 reasons to hit. Position, rebound, or destruction. If you hit to position, it's not going to work. You will extend their arms, but they're still holding on. If you hit to rebound, the effect is really nothing in this technique because you're not really rebounding. You're creating a circle out of a straight line. If you hit for destruction, you will effectively remove their hands from your chest. Where you hit has to be paramount in your choice. Your target choice should be effective. So thinking of that, don't put them in the same zone. We know that. Use upper and lowercase striking and pick 2 effective targets. So destructive twins. I'll face this direction. I'll face both directions for you. 2-handed grab pull from the front. This is my right foot, this is my right hand. Step in, hit. When I go back, it's taught to sweep. You know it rarely works. That foot is hardly ever there, but make that C-step. Pull that foot back from 12 to 3 o'clock. Here's your inward block. Here's your outward block. Switch to a reverse bow stance. Push the eyes away to turn and set up the kidney strike. Bam, we hit the kidney. Destructive twin. 1, 2. There we go. Face the camera. Hit. Bam. Pow. Facing this direction. They grab, they pull. Bam. Defense, right? Hit hard. Inward block, outward block, eye shot, punch. Destructive twins. All right. Beheaded, right? Richard Murray, glad to hear you're doing well. Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're welcome, sir. Gathering the clouds. And parting wings are flashing daggers. Gathering the clouds for purple is a right lunging or boxer's punch. There are 2 variations. And the thing I want changed in here is the first strike. It's taught. Now, when I say it's taught, this is how I learned it, okay? When I learned it, this is what I was taught when I say that. I teach it differently. So if it's a lunging punch or a boxer's punch, it doesn't matter. We're going to do the same gathering inward parry, okay? It's not an inward block. This one's an inward parry. When we do that, I was taught to center knuckle. Now, if you know me, when I teach, if I can, I teach it the way I was taught. When I say if I can, it's because there are a few techniques that I just cannot teach traditionally. I can't. In good conscience, I've tried, and they don't work the way they're taught. Nothing against my instructor or their instructors or so on. That's not what it's about. I'm not bitching or nothing about that. Bless their heart. I love them dearly. For me, training with special forces and police officers and security guards in a realistic self-defense situation, which is what I was all about, still am all about, it didn't work. So while they look very cool at times, and there's a lot to be learned from the motions, I can't. Okay, and this, I will teach it this way, but I will always point out that when you strike with that center knuckle in a raking motion, and one thing deviates or goes wrong, you're going to break your hand. Same thing with a punch, right? But let's say you go to block that punch and you swing for that rib cage, and you get that knuckle caught in their jacket or in their shirt or in their gi, or you strike, you should be striking perfectly. But when it happens, if you have not punched 1,000 times on something solid with that center knuckle, and I don't know too many martial artists who do, you're going to break your knuckle. Then what? So the technique, and we're block, ash, chop, elbow, eye rake, step back at its base level for purple. Pretty good technique. The only thing I want you to consider is that center knuckle. We have in Kenpo what we call a hot hand. And I remember Grandmaster Larry Tatum doing this technique to me on one of our seminars, and he hot-handed the crap out of my ribs. And I thought, what the heck was that? And this was early on in my training 20-some years ago with him. And I learned what a hot hand was. And it's very effective in the place of that center knuckle. Wow, right in the ribs. Didn't destroy anything, but again, there are 3 reasons to strike. What are they? Position, rebound, and destruction. He positioned and rebounded his chop to a very effective blasting motion into my rib cage. There we go. So, gather in the clouds. Gather in the clouds, right lunging punch or right boxer's punch, depending on how you use your leg. Step off and then parry, ask, or rake through the rib cage, or hot hand if you want to. And I know you're thinking, break your fingers, be smarter. Hit, rebound, chop, step in, collapse that elbow, buckle the knee, scoop the eye, and step back. One more time. Gather in the clouds. Parry, strike, chop, elbow, buckle, scoop. I'll do it from this direction. Parry, rake, chop, elbow, buckle, scoop the groin, poke the eye, and check. Gather in the clouds. There he goes. Have fun. Parting wings or flashing daggers. And I'll get out of your hair and go back to blue belt. Parting wings, flashing daggers. There's one thing in there that is taught differently now than when I was coming up to the range, because I started NCKK. It's the continual motion. Now for purple, that's the theory I like, continual motion. So the technique, I want it done a certain way. I've seen it done, block, chop, chop, push down, center knuckle. Okay? I've seen it done, block, chop, chop, push down, center knuckle. That's not how I want you to do it. When you see me do it, you're going to see strike to the ribs. This is an added eye rake. It's not written, but it's in there. Floating rib, throat, face, groin. One more time. Wrist, eyes, floating rib, throat, face, groin. This pulling back motion helps feed the theory of continual motion. Okay? So we'll step back. We'll do this parting wings real quick. With Bob, we step back and block. Notice I did this, not this. Another thing that happens, if you're not careful when you step back, you take, and I've seen people cock this hand back here, and this is the block. Well, unless they're on top of you like this hand's doing nothing but chambering. Not a bad thing, but that leaves their left hand to effectively attack you. When you step back, make sure your hands are in front of you, and you make that chop, punch to the face, hammer fist down to the groin. Robert has no groin. I chose him. Okay. Poor guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it? Parting wings or flashing daggers. Okay. I love you. Give me a second to break, reset, and I'll come back with blue, green, and brown belt techniques. And then I'll pull some sword, and we'll work on some stuff for the ninja. All right, you guys. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in a minute. Stay healthy.